Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Marie and I try to keep my word, okay? So ages ago, months, we talked about tofu. We specifically talked about tofu and how tofu has become not just a food or an ingredient, but a signifier of culture and specifically one's political standpoint. And what attitude you have towards tofu tends to be telling and revealing in terms of what you think about other aspects of culture like immigration or feminism. And there's so much to dive into here. So if you're interested in that video, I will link it down below. But we're doing something more practical today because in that video, I promised you guys that I would share my favorite easy, beginner-friendly tofu recipes with you. And we're doing that today. I will link as many details and recipes in the description and put things on the screen, but just let it be known I haven't used any specific measurements for this, and you don't have to either. We're going by consistencies, we're going by flavor. So yeah, I just didn't measure a whole bunch of stuff here because this is very much reflective of my everyday cooking where I just jam it out and do something. I've been so excited to share my favorite tofu recipes with you guys because I know that many people, I see them in my comments, hello you guys, are interested in trying to cook with tofu, trying to understand it and what it can be used for. And I got you. Okay, I got you. This is the video that you need to get started. For my first tofu related trick. So the first dish we're making is this super easy creamy noodle dish where the tofu is the sauce. I'm using a soft tofu with lemongrass and chili. It's absolutely phenomenal. And what I'm simply doing is that I'm blending it all to shit along with some oat cream, some peanut butter, some soy sauce, a little bit of chili, a little bit of garlic, and honestly whatever ingredients and flavors you appreciate. I might also have added in a little bit of curry because I simply just cannot help myself. And look how phenomenal this is. I took the leftover tofu bits that I didn't add into the sauce and just fried them really quickly on the pan before adding them into the dish as well. And on the side, I made a super quick cucumber salad with a little bit of sesame seed oil, some soy sauce, and that is actually it. And I don't know, whenever I make like a spicy noodle kind of thing, I love to have just fresh cucumber next to it. I use a lot of chili oil, so I feel like it balances each other out really nicely. Also love to have some freshness in there. Anyway, look at these noodles, over the moon. You can easily make sauces with silken tofu. This is just soft tofu, so it's not the firm kind. This with chili and lemongrass from Butler's Choice, which is by far one of my favorites. Then we have chili oil in there, peanut butter, a little bit of oat-based cream and some water, soy. There we go. This is honestly a fantastic introduction to tofu. If you or someone you know always say that you don't like the texture of tofu, there is no texture issue. It's just a sauce. It is a protein-rich, filling, creamy sauce that you can add your level of spice tolerance to. From here, you can go a million different directions. Let me show you some other options. Next up is another super easy recipe. This is a firm tofu with basil, and I absolutely love this, although basil can be kind of difficult to work into a tofu dish. So we are going in a pasta salad direction. And instead of cutting the tofu into cubes, I am grating it and adding it to a pan to saute it in some olive oil until it's nice and crispy. This kind of texture, fantastic for a pasta salad. Here are my greens of choice. We have some red onions, some carrots, some tomatoes, some cucumber, and some lettuce. Really basic, really simple. We are combining it all with my favorite type of pasta for a pasta salad, and then we're adding in the tofu minced. I swear to God, I could add this to any barbecue and no one would ever know. I also made a quick dressing. This is made with oat-based creme fraiche, a little bit of oat-based cream, some salt, some pepper, some lemon, and a little bit of curry as well. I'm unstoppable. What do you want me to say? And I'm pretty sure that anyone who doesn't like tofu would have no problem eating this. It doesn't taste like tofu. You definitely have to give this a go. Phenomenal. This is very much so one of the dishes I tend to make in bulk, so I have lunch for 2-3 days. I would recommend, if you have fresh herbs, to add those as well. Chives, parsley, etc. would be really nice. I didn't have any of those, but I wish I did. But the tofu is fantastic. Shredding the tofu was the right decision here because now I just have all these crispy, flavorful, small niblets. And if I had cut them, they would be like chunkier, bigger, and this way they're just integrated really well into the salad. Feel like you could serve this to tofu haters and they wouldn't think this was tofu because it's not necessarily the texture, flavors you associate with tofu. So if you're scared to try it, or you have like very firm associations with it, or the textures or like sponginess or whatever, this completely removes all those things. Now it's just like a kick of protein in something that would otherwise just have been veggies and pasta. Ta-da! This is something completely different, but we're also going to use a firm tofu. This is with ginger and soy. And once again, can you tell I absolutely love the marinated, pre-marinated tofus? It's just an extra life hack to get some extra flavor in there. Anyway, I'm taking this firm tofu, not pressing it or anything, cutting it into thin slices. To make our breading, we're using flour, sugar, salt, onion powder, a mix of different other spices, paprika, different stuff here. I got a mix. That's what I'm using. And cornstarch, oat milk, and panko crumbs. So I actually have already shared this recipe in a previous food prep video, so perhaps you've already seen it. I'm so sorry for repeating myself, but I couldn't not put this into this video as well. And for the wet batter, we're sort of just trying whatever feels right, but you're going for a firm pancake batter consistency here. You can also choose to double batter if that's what you want, but I'm not doing this for this video. Also, I feel like the batter stuck really well to the tofu, so I really didn't see any need. Anyway, we're gonna fry it in the golden pond. You can choose to do this in other ways, but I really just wanted to deep fry this thing. It was calling my name, so I heated up some oil to 180 degrees Celsius, and then I fried them on both sides until they were golden brown. I currently have these in my freezer because they freeze so incredibly well, so they're really great for food prep. Now this is fucking amazing. If you like chicken nuggets or katsu, anything battered or fried and breaded, you're gonna love this. Let's move to the other end of the food spectrum and do a sweet dish. This is a dessert with silken tofu, and we're going to turn it into a chocolate mousse. Just stay with me. This is absolutely phenomenal. And no, it doesn't taste like tofu, but it really just tastes like a dark, filling, saturated chocolate mousse. This is how you make it. I used about half of the silken tofu. The other half we're going to use in the next recipe. And then I'm adding in some cocoa powder and some powdered sugar specifically. I'm trying to avoid any other liquids, so to not make the mousse too liquid. Then I melted some fair trade chocolate, and we're going to combine it all using a blender. Now, the best way to do this is definitely by blending it all until it's as smooth as it can be, and then place it into the fridge for 2-3 hours. The longer it's in the fridge, the more solid the consistency is going to get. But for this recipe, honestly, I just ate it right away. It was really, really good. Today we're making one of my absolute favorite dinners. I'm so excited for this. I haven't made this in ages. I think since I moved out here, I haven't made it. I need it. I want it. And the perfect thing is, yesterday we did something with rice, so I have leftover rice. I don't need to make those. We're going to use the last bits of the silken tofu from the mousse recipe yesterday. The most versatile little bits of blob here. And it's just gonna be... So we're making Shahi paneer, but instead of paneer, we're using silken tofu. You can also use firm tofu for this if you want to. If you're using firm tofu instead, which you absolutely can do, but I do recommend searing it on every side before you pop it into the sauce. Frying them on both sides to make them a little bit crispy maybe before. But today we're using silken tofu, and I think this is gonna be banging. I have the whole recipe on my website, so I will link that down below. But this is so fantastic. If you haven't made this before, you absolutely have to. This is one of the more complex recipes. At least we're using the most ingredients. We're using cashew nuts, we're using tomatoes, onion and garlic, tomato paste, water, a little bit of oil, some butter and chili paste. Our spice blend consists of cumin, turmeric, onion powder, garlic powder, and a mix of garam masala. And then we have some solid spices. We have green and black cardamom, we have dried chilies, and a cinnamon stick. And then obviously we also have the silken tofu that we're gonna use. So we're gonna start by heating our oil in our pan. I can see I'm using a little bit more oil than I usually do, and I don't know, I think it was to show it in the recipe, but it's a little bit too much. You do you. Okay, so we're starting by sauteing the onions, garlic, and tomatoes along with the cashews, and then we're adding in our dried powdered spices. We're giving it all a good toss before adding in the tomato paste as well as the water. We're also gonna add in a little bit of salt, and then we're just gonna let everything simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. We want everything kind of soft, and especially especially the cashews, because we're going to blend them in a second. And then we're going to let it cool after the 15 minutes to make sure that it doesn't explode in the blender. But look how smooth and lovely it's getting. Like, that is fantastic. Anyway, so after that, we're not going to clean our pot. Instead, we're going to take the solid spices and the butter, and we're going to let the butter melt. And then I forgot to tell you that I'm also using oat cream, because what recipe in this video didn't require oat cream? I'm using it constantly. We're melting the butter and frying everything, sauteing it, I guess, on medium heat. And then we're adding in the cream before we toss everything together, let it simmer. And then we're going to add in the blender sauce. So we have everything combined, everything that goes so perfectly together. And it's actually not until now that we're going to add in the tofu. If we add it in too soon, it's just going to become these tiny small bits that we can't taste or feel, see, and we don't want that. So I'm adding them in as the very last thing before serving this dish. This is one of my favorite recipes, and I am so bloody excited to eat it. Now, I haven't had this in so long, so bloody excited to have it again. Normally, the way I would usually make this is with rice as well, but then also with naan. And then you can take your naan and you can dip it into the sauce. That's the best way to have it. So if you're making it, I really do recommend making the naan as well. I make it with like yeast, flour, water, salt, and then that's it. But this will have to do. It's so fantastic. I'm also not taking out all the solid spices. They continue to add flavor, and it's nice. So I'm just gonna leave them in there and then not eat those bits. But let's have a bite of it. Feel my stomach growling. Okay. Creamy, spicy. Ooh, this is the best thing in the world. See in here. Green cardamom. Here's some tofu. It just falls apart in your mouth and just explodes with flavor. You have to make this. I'm so sorry to ruin your day like that. I am unwell. I'm gonna go and finish this up, and I will see you for the final recipe. Last dish we're making is an oldie but a goodie. It's iconic for a reason. It's scrambled tofu. I make this quite often, especially on the weekends, and for that we're using a soft tofu. You can also make it with firmer pieces of tofu, but I like when everything is sort of like soft and combined, and I make it a little bit more liquid or wet than I've seen other people do often. That's just me. You can use whatever tofu you want or take whatever inspiration that you need. But what I'm doing is that I'm mashing up the soft tofu, just the whole block. I like to make a big portion and then I can use it in sandwiches throughout the entire weekend. So we're adding in a few spices, some onion powder, garlic powder, salt, and a little bit of turmeric for color. I want to be a little bit careful with this because I don't want it to taste like turmeric, you know, and then freshly ground pepper. I don't know. It's the one I swear by. I'm not using pre-powdered pepper, and I judge everyone that is. No, that's not true. Anyway, now we're using the oat cream and combining everything so we get a nice thick little mix here. Then I'm heating up my pan and adding in a little bit of vegan butter before putting in the mixture with the tofu. And here we're just gonna let it chill on medium to high heat for about 10-ish minutes. I like when it gets a little bit dehydrated on the bottom, but we're not looking for any charring or whatsoever. So just let a little bit of the water evaporate like this. And then we're adding in our secret ingredient, which is black salt. This is gonna give your scramble a little bit of an eggy flavor. So if you like that, you can add it in, but it's completely optional. I mean, everything in here is completely optional, but I like to use black salt to give it a little bit of an eggy flavor, and that is actually just it. Now I'm putting it onto my bread, and then I'm finding out what I want to do for toppings. So for one of them, I'm going to use a spicy salsa, and the other I'm going to use ketchup for, and then chives on the whole thing, as well as a little bit of extra flaky salt and some freshly ground pepper. Let me know what kind of toppings you would prefer on this, because I know this kind of divides people a bit, but this is by far my favorite version of this. You can even do a little bit of tofu bacon on top if you wanted to do that, but we're gonna stick with this for now. And here we go. Let's have a go at it. Little bit of spicy from the salsa, good with the freshly ground pepper. Now this is where it's at. I hope that you enjoyed these recipes. Let me know if you have ever tried to cook anything like it, or if you've been inspired to try and make some of these recipes yourself. Also, let me know if there are any other tofu recipes that you want me to try. Let's see if we can do a part 2, perhaps where I try recipes that I haven't tried before. Let's see how that goes. Let me know down below if you have any good recipes that I need to try out. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will see you guys next time. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then, bye.